turning our attention now to Florida, where we are expecting a major update in the murder investigation of Microsoft executive Jared Bridegan. It could be coming down at any moment. Mario Fernandez Saldana, who is the husband of Bridegan's ex-wife, is already charged with first-degree murder in the February 2022 shooting death of Bridegan. The exec was gunned down in a Jacksonville Beach neighborhood just moments after he dropped off his two children that he shared with his ex-wife. Prosecutors say he was ambushed after stopping to remove a tire in the road. The state attorney's office has stated that they're going to be announcing a significant development in that case today, and we're going to take you there live as soon as that press conference begins. While we wait, though, here's a look back at the case from Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
Jared Bridegan appeared to have it all. A new job as a Microsoft executive, living in sunny Florida with his wife Kirsten and 4 children.
We had just had London. She was 6 months old, so things were good.
Kirsten had 2 children with Jared, London and Bexley. They also shared custody of his 9-year-old twins from a previous marriage.
On the week that we did not have the oldest 2 kids at our home, Jared would take them out to dinner. It was referred to as date night in this agreement.
The agreement kept Jared and Kirsten in Florida because Bridegan and his ex-wife Shanna Gardner-Fernandez were in a bitter custody dispute. What was that relationship like, he and his ex-wife?
The relationship between us and his ex-wife was not cordial. Our communications were always in writing because there was not mutual trust between the 2 households.
On February 16, 2022, Jared had one of his scheduled daddy date nights. After dinner, he dropped off his twin daughter and son at his ex-wife's home in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and headed home to St. Augustine. On the way, he stopped to get his 2.5-year-old daughter Bexley ice cream. She was in the back seat of his SUV. He then called Kirsten, telling her he loved her and would be home soon. How did you learn something was wrong?
As time started ticking by and the time that they're usually home passed, I can't even describe it, like, I just knew something's not right.
Her fears became reality after an officer answered Jared's cell phone, telling her Bexley was unharmed. But they needed her to come by the police station to hear about her husband.
They later on that night told me that he had been shot. Where did this happen? Because he usually gets in the car and just drives home. I had talked to him.
Jared was not a victim of any robbery gone wrong or carjacking. Police say he was the victim of a targeted attack on a one-way road he traveled often. Jared came across a tire police say was intentionally placed right here in the middle of the road in the sanctuary neighborhood of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. That's when someone came out of these woods and ambushed the father of 4, killing him on the spot. For almost a year, no answers. Then in January 2023, a break in the case.
Henry Tenen was arrested for the following crimes: conspiracy to commit murder, second-degree murder with a weapon, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse.
Now investigators say that Tenen has pleaded guilty in the case and admitted to shooting Bridegan.
Henry Tenen pled guilty to murdering Jared Bridegan. Henry Tenen has admitted that he in fact was the shooter.
According to court records, Tenen once lived in this house that was once owned by Bridegan's ex-wife's current husband.
Our investigation has revealed a single link between Jared Bridegan and Henry Tenen. That is Mario Fernandez Saldana.
And now investigators have charged that husband, Mario Fernandez Saldana, with first-degree murder.
And the grand jury has returned an indictment charging Fernandez Saldana with first-degree murder. In addition to the first-degree murder charge, the grand jury also has indicted Fernandez Saldana for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, as well as child abuse. First-degree murder, this is a capital felony punishable by death or mandatory life in prison.
Jared's ex-wife and her new husband, Mario Fernandez, have denied any involvement in his murder. Gardner-Fernandez has since relocated to Washington State with the twins she shared with Jared.
And joining me now to discuss this case, Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson. Also in St. Paul, Minnesota, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Jack Rice. And in Atlanta, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. So good to have you all on as we are waiting to see what this prosecution is going to say. Matt, let me start with you. Every time that we have heard a press conference being announced with the same term, development in the case, it's been something major and it's been an arrest. What do you think it may be today?
Well, I think that we're going to hear more details about Henry Tenon and what information he has been providing. Because again, Julia, he has pled not guilty in this case, and he said that he will willfully and honestly testify against any co-conspirators. And the way that they left the last press conference in their announcement of the arrest of Saldana Fernandez, you know, they said that there could be another arrest pending and soon. So maybe we will see that today.
Jack Rice, if there's another arrest, what kind of information or evidence do you think they would have been able to uncover once the husband of the ex-wife was behind bars?
Incredibly important when you can realize that personal specific information that shows that this was a hit. Because what you're really looking for is contemplate where it is that this man was actually murdered and who would have known about it, who specifically would have known where he was going, when he was going there, and the ability to reach. This really supports a very slow, methodical approach from the police as they arrest, and then they say, who are your connections? How are those people connected to the potential murdered victim? And then you work your way out like throwing a small rock into a pond and watch that just roll outwards. And that's exactly what they did in this case.
In the rolling outwards of this case, Josh Schiffer, what other charges would you anticipate could be coming down the pipe? I know we already have first-degree murder. Second-degree murder is what the alleged hitman is going to plead guilty to. But talk to me about what other crimes or charges could be coming down.
Well, like Matt and Jack are talking about, as this case expands, we may be adding additional people as well as additional evidence that's been developed. That additional evidence can support new charges. Everything from using the the tools of interstate commerce like telephones in a conspiracy. There's literally dozens of potential charges that the state's going to be able to decide on using their inherent discretion through the electoral and prosecutorial process. This has been that slow developing case specifically because they didn't have great answers on the outset of who might be involved. Only by leaning on the people that they do know involved, using the powers of subpoenas, search warrants, things like that to develop additional evidence. That's how they've gotten to this part of discovering the story.
Josh,
and I think
Melissa
they're going to
Nelson.
drop big
Josh, I
news.
hate to cut you off. Melissa Nelson, the state attorney there in Jacksonville, Florida, is about to speak. Let's go in live.
Everybody. Thank you for joining us in what will be my last public update on the investigation of the murder of Jared Bridegan on February 16th of 2022 in Jacksonville Beach. I'm joined today by our law enforcement partners, Chief Gene Paul Smith of the Jacksonville Beach Police Department and many of his staff, Special Agent Bob Bryson of ATF Jacksonville, and Jacksonville Beach Mayor Hoffman. We are also joined by Jared's widow, Kirsten, Kirsten's parents, and Jared's brothers, Adam and Justin, and Adam's wife. Thank you for being here today. We promised at the outset of this investigation we would not relent until we uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. The whole and entire truth. This morning, a Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse, all related to the murder of Jared Bridegan, Shanna's ex-husband. Gardner was arrested shortly after and taken into custody by ATF Washington Field Division agents in West Richland, Washington. Gardner will be extradited to Duval County to face these charges. We will be filing a notice of our intent to seek the death penalty, as we have also done in the case of Mario Fernandez. I cannot stress enough the extraordinary commitment and teamwork of the folks on the stage with me today, the Jacksonville Beach detectives, ATF agents, and our prosecutors in this case. While too many to name, I would like to personally commend some folks. Chief Smith, Jacksonville Beach Detectives Chris Johns and Jason Lamont, ATF Special Agent Bryson and his team of special agents and intelligence analysts at ATF Jacksonville office, including Lindsay Butler, Alyssa Simmons, and Nick Stengel, and our prosecution team, led by Assistant State Attorney Christina Stifler, including Lee Wingard, Homicide Director Alan Mizrahi, Chief Assistant Lee Hutton, and First Assistant Stephen Siegel, and our victim advocate, Mackenzie Roden. This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. Henry Tennant did not act alone, Mario Fernandez did not plan alone, and Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan. We will provide copies of the indictment, and all other evidentiary details and information will be provided during the discovery process. Thank you all for being here today and providing the public of this development.
There you have it from the state attorney there in the 4th Circuit of Florida, Melissa Nelson, saying that these other two people did not act alone. The wife is now charged, ex-wife of this victim, father of 4, Jared Bridegan. Let's bring back in everyone who's standing by, crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, Josh Schiffer, and Jack Rice. So important, we know that this was likely coming down. Matt, your reaction to this being what the state attorney is now saying, and she says this is her last public update.
This is the moment that the widow that was standing there next to this, the DA, has been waiting for. She has been waiting for this additional charge to come down, and she had suspected all along in telling me that there was just such a divisive relationship with the ex and with their divorce and their agreement with the children. She had suspected that something wasn't right from the get-go. And today, again, you heard right there this breaking news that the ex-wife has been charged, and it's the same charges that Mario Saldana faces, her estranged husband, who she moved from, like, she was living in Florida with him, and then she ended up moving to Washington, where she was taken into custody. So it's first-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation to commit felony, capital murder, and child abuse, because, again, the toddler was in the back seat of this car and witnessed it all happen, Julia. Not a surprise here, but a resolution, and now it's the next steps, and it was really poignant that she said that this is her last update. So no more updates until we're in court on this one.
No updates from the state attorney's office. Curious to see what the family may say at this point. But Josh Schiffer, your reaction to this being the final charge? That's what the prosecution is saying, that they aren't going to be making any public updates, so likely no more arrests in this case.
I love the confidence in the state's attorney and starting off the press conference with that. This is going to be my final announcement. She's done her job. Her office has done her job. And just like Matt said, brought a tremendous relief to this family. This widow and these kids eventually will grow up to know that the system did effectively pursue the people behind their father and husband's murder. Not unexpected. Definitely a defensible case due to the tenuousness of the connections, but I'm willing to bet the state has some good evidence it's going to share as the case progresses.
Jack, this is 3 defendants. One of them is already pleading out in this case, and we hear conspiracy. Would you try them together? Do you think their defense attorneys will try to separate this husband and wife?
Well, I can tell you I've been in this space before, and anytime you have co-defendants, especially those who are not charged and those who are cooperating, it's a petrifying experience to walk into, because sometimes you don't know what it is that the state knows. Yes, it's a discovery piece, but it's still very hard, and there's that wild card of that person who could come in and testify as to what was going on the inside. But at least now what we're really seeing, and this is really what the prosecutor did so well, and I think it really sort of solidifies the power of what they have now, is they have motive. They have this connection between the ex-wife and Saldana. And those two, if you watch that, you watch the drive that runs from one piece to the next to the next. And what you want for a jury always when you're prosecuting or defending a case is you want to be able to explain the facts, but you also want to explain why. Why is it that something like this could happen? Why is it that somebody would actually be willing to go to the extent of actually murdering another human being? And now what you have is that direct connection between the ex-wife and Saldana. And that's incredibly important when it talks about something like a conviction in a case like this, especially on a second-degree murder charge.
Matt, you've been reporting on this. You've been out there to Jacksonville at the crime scene. But I want to ask you about this ex-wife. I don't think you've been all the way out to Washington to see where she was. But tell me about what happened after this murder of Jared Bridegan. They shared 2 children together. Did she get full custody, that distancing? When did that happen? And is there going to be a similar extradition as there was for her husband?
Right. You know, when you look at this case and the way that it played out, Julia, you had her as a person of interest or someone that may have had knowledge from the get-go who was not cooperating with authorities because, again, she was the last person to have seen this victim, her ex-husband, alive. And then he's leaving her house after dropping off their 2 children. And then, you know, in a one-way road where he traveled each and every time he had his daddy date night, he had to move this tire out of the road. He couldn't pass it. They knew that he was going to be there. That's why we have this conspiracy charge and we have these allegations from this district attorney. But she has really very much over the last couple weeks and months tried to distance herself from the 2 gentlemen that have been charged in all of this, including her current estranged husband, because again, she moved to Washington State. She lives in a house paid for by her parents who are multimillionaires in the Pacific Northwest, and she cut all ties with him. And now that brings us to today, where she is actually charged in all of this, and she will be extradited back to Florida.
We'll be in Florida, and we will be following the developments in this case. Thank you all 3 for all of that information.